Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're all well. Today I thought I would make a short video to answer a question that comes up quite a bit. The question is, how do you get your translations to rhyme? First of all, what I do when I want to translate a poem is I go to Ganjur and select a poet. Today we'll translate a bait from Saadi's Golistan. The first thing I do is that I transliterate it, and that's because on the Patreon chat, for those of you who followed, maybe you've heard me talk about it, I would highly recommend you join. I send transliterations. I'll show you how that process works. Of course, I'll speed it up. So here it is written in Latin, and now I will translate it into the most literal English that I'm able to, just to give you an idea of exactly what the Persian says. But the goal of this is just to show you exactly what is being said. Don't count a friend, one who brags of friendship and brotherhood in blessed times. I consider a friend one who takes the hand of a friend in times of distress and difficulty. So how do we get this into being a poem? The way I see translating into rhyme is it's like being dealt a hand of cards. If you were playing a card game, not a haram one with no money on the table. I've been given this literal translation. These words and concepts that I have are my hand of cards, and now I need to be creative with them in a way that will produce a rhyme. Look at the rhyme scheme of the original poem. Here we have Khandagi and Darmandagi. This poem will be a bit easier to rhyme in translation because it's only just two words that need to rhyme. So in some poems, the whole poem has a rhyme. Well, now all of a sudden you have double the amount of rhymes. But here we only have two words. That's relatively easy, and I picked that for this purpose, essentially, just so we can get it through it more quickly. I take the main concepts and ideas and words in each line, and I try to list them and come up with as many synonyms as possible until two synonyms rhyme, and then I try to play with the word order until they end up at essentially the point where they need to rhyme. We can't do anything with don't and count because they need to start in the beginning of the first sentence of the first line. But then we have the word friend. This is useful. We also have brag, friendship, brotherhood, so we have times. I pull up the word and go to the synonyms and just try to find words that I could use that could be helpful for translating this poem. Companion, pretty much a mouthful. It's intimate is all right, but it doesn't really convey what I'm trying to get at here. Confidant, again, also has that same issue. Friend is kind of a dead end. Then we have bragging, crow, swagger. Okay, so we have boast here, so I'll add boast. Friendship, relationship, amity. That will rhyme well with a lot of words, but it's not really the type of word we're looking for. It's also kind of a mouthful. Alliance, association, no. Bond, tie, none of these are really any good. Friendship is a dead end. Brotherhood, again, that's probably going to be a dead end. Fellowship, okay, that's good, but ship is difficult to work with, that ship ending. Then we have times and blessed times. Like, we're not really going to come up with anything except maybe friend. Now we need to make friend rhyme with not only something in the second line, but also make the first line end with the word friend, right? In order to rhyme with something here. So we could just say pretend, mend, send. Now we need to reword the first line to make it end with the word friend. This is where the creativity comes in. One who brags of friendship and brotherhood in blessed times, don't count a friend. Friend is ending the first line. So the issue is twofold. One is, of course, it's lopsided. The first part of the line or the couplet is way longer than the second part. And also it's very verbose. One who brags of friendship and brotherhood in blessed times, don't count as a friend. We could change don't count as a friend to isn't a friend. We could say one who brags of friendship in blessed times isn't a friend. And we could worry about producing a couplet out of this line later. But the more important element is that it's sensible sounding in English. One who brags of friendship in blessed times isn't a friend. On that note, blessed is not going to work either. Good times, although that might be a little colloquial, it's much more digestible than blessed times. One who brags of friendship in good times isn't a friend. I consider a friend one who takes the hand of a friend in times of distress and difficulty. Now we need to do the same thing we did earlier. Consider hand, distress, difficulty. Now, unlike the time before where we would plug in the definition into Google and try to find synonym, job is a bit easier in the sense that we only have to look at one list of words, but it's a bit harder because you're stuck with this one rhyme. We have bend, useless, blend, and maybe end could work. No, send, trend, lend, send. Lend could work. Spend, mend could work. You just have to really pull out any word that could even vaguely be related to the idea at hand, and then eventually I'll point out how you can make it work. Depend, you can depend on a friend. That's good. Amend, extend. This dictionary has a good feature. It's organized by syllable length, which is helpful for poets. We have this long list of words. Our job is twofold. One is to make this less verbose and also to implement one of these words, not only in the sentence somewhere, of course, that would be too easy, but also at the very end of the sentence to make it rhyme again with friend. I consider a friend one who takes the hand of a friend in times of distress and difficulty. You could say something like, a friend is one who lends a hand in hard times. This sentence, although correct, it's not something that an English speaker would ever say, and if they were to read it, it would just seem really verbose. It's kind of taking a long way around to say a simple thing. Spend, I'm just going to get rid of that. Mend, well, you're not really improving ties. I'm going to get rid of that. When I'm pulling out rhyme, kind of pull out what comes to mind, and then eventually, I might realize, wait, why did I do that? Depend, okay, if you can depend on them. A friend is one on whom you can depend. That could work, but although I prefer to keep the hand thing, gira dastadus, I don't like to stray too much from the literal meaning as well. Although depending on someone is kind of related to that, I'm going to get rid of that as well. Extend is good because it has to do with a hand. You extend a hand. Pretend could be fit into the first couplet to double up the rhyme friend, pretend. It's kind of too distant from the original sentiment in my mind because lof zadan is more about bragging than about pretending. It's not that he's pretending to be a good friend. He's bragging about being a friend. Although they're almost the same, I don't think it's similar enough to justify putting it in there. And I'm also going to get rid of that. Now we have lend and extend. And the good thing about these two words is that they both relate to hand. Lend a hand, extend a hand. And lend is also similar, but it sounds kind of more fluent, English speakers would say. Lend me a hand, lend me your ears. This sentence needs to end with the word lend. So how do we get that? A friend is one who lends a hand in hard time. Well, lend is already in that sentence. If I want to move lend towards the end, hard times needs to come back. I can't end the sentence. A friend is one who, in hard times, we can say that. A friend is one who, in hard times, lends a hand. Now we need to move lend to the end. Now this is where I'll go into territory that I'm not a fan of, and that is resorting to archaicism. You can say a hand will lend. This used to be normal in English to speak this way, but of course now, as us, native speakers know, it's not. And I don't like to express things in archaic language. I always like the language to be modern. Now that we've got the poem translated, it's been converted into a modern idiom of English so that it's readable. And we also have the rhyme, friend and lend. Now we need to make it metrical. For today, it suffices to say that for a poem to be metrical, the lines need to follow some sort of meter that's underlined by a syllable count. And the syllable counts in these basic meters that I write with, there's more complicated meters where this isn't the case, need to be aligned with one another. This first couplet, it just happened that both lines have 6 syllables in them. And this one has 4 and this one has 8. I didn't plan it this way. Well, it just happened. So it could just be as simple as doing that. I hope that this question has been answered now for those of you who are wondering. I hope that it's apparent now how I come to the point where a poem that is originally in Persian is translated into English and then reworded and eventually ends up rhyming in the English language.